Welcome to the LMD Podiatry Podcast. Trust us to get back on your feet. Here's your host, Dr. Lauren DeBaccaroff.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the LMD Podiatry Podcast. Your co-host here, Jeremy Wolf, as always, joined by your host, Dr. Lauren DeBaccaroff. Dr.
Hey,
Lauren, it's always a pleasure, truly is. All right, so, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in. We got a fun one today. We're going to talk a little bit about skin conditions. Ooh. Going to demystify skin conditions. So why don't we start with some basics here? From your lens as a podiatrist, what are some of the most common skin conditions that you see walk on into your office? See the air quotes there.
Number one.
Pun intended.
Yeah. So number one skin condition, toenail fungus.
Toenail fungus. There's a fungus among us.
Yes.
Yes.
Toenail fungus, number one. The next most popular one is probably warts. That's a big one. And probably number three would be dry skin and calluses of all sorts.
So fungus, warts, dry skin, calluses.
Yes.
Okay. Why are conditions like fungus and warts so prevalent when it comes to the feet?
So when it comes to fungus, it's first of all, it's easily contagious. So you can, just like bread gets moldy when you seal it in a bag because fungus grows from moisture. So too, the same thing happens if you wear shoes without socks. You could actually develop fungus on your skin, on the skin of the foot, leading to athlete's foot, or on your toenails just by having too much moisture in your foot. If you perspire a lot, if you sweat a lot in your feet, and you're not using things to dry up your feet, for example, and that moisture can help you lead into a fungus in your skin or on your toenails, for example. Another reason why toenail fungus is very common is because when people share showers with other people and they don't know where they went, if you use public showers, and in South Florida, the number one is the nail salons. Because even though they have the sterile packs, it's the what's it called? The brush, the nail polish brush. That's what everybody gets it from because it's the only thing that doesn't get sterilized. And even though people think that the nail polish is so strong and it has a lot of chemicals in it, those chemicals are not strong enough to kill the actual fungal spores that are on the brush. So even though they give you a pedicure and everything's great, the second they use the same polish that they use on the thousands of other people, you're going to get that fungus.
Sounds lovely. That's always great when you go to. That's always great if you go to get a pedicure. You spend $100 whatever it costs to get a pedicure, and then you end up getting some kind of fungal infection. That's lovely. Oh boy. So we're talking about fungal infections. What exactly is a fungal infection? Like elaborate.
Okay, so there are different types of microorganisms, right? So you can get a bacterial infection, like if someone has pus in their foot, that's bacteria.
Ooh, a husk?
Pus.
Oh, pus. Okay. I thought you said a husk.
No, I said
what is
pus.
an elephant husk? Oh, that's a tusk. I'm sorry. What is that doing in the feet? Jesus. Okay. I digress. Continue.
There's different types. So that, you have viruses, bacteria, and fungi, right? So there's different types of fungi all over the world. They grow in different places. Your average mushroom that you eat, that's a fungus. But there are types of fungi that they grow on bread. So there's yeast, mold. Those are all types of different funguses. And there's different species and things like that. And the same thing as bacteria. You could have like a staph infection. You can have a strep infection. You can have Pseudomonas infection. So fungus itself, it's a type of microorganism. It just acts differently than bacteria and a virus.
So here's a term that many people have probably heard before, athlete's foot. That is a form of fungus, correct?
Yeah, it's fungus of the skin.
Fungus of the skin. Okay.
Of the skin of the foot.
So for somebody that is having some issues with the feet? Like, what are some typical signs somebody should look for, and how can they treat that? When would it require you actually going to see a doctor like yourself, or a home remedy? What should people look out for? Some signs and
So for athlete foot or fungus of the skin of your foot, the most common sign is itching. If your feet start itching, the other thing is you get like this scaly, flaky skin on the bottom of your foot.
Should I be getting my foot out now to do an inspection?
No.
We don't want to scare everybody away. Jesus, my face is scary enough looking, man.
So a lot of people confuse dry skin with athlete's foot.
Okay.
So dry skin, your skin is just kind of like ashy, and then athlete's foot, you could actually see it's a moccasin-like distribution. Basically, it's like these little circular scales on your foot, and they flake off. And in some cases, they can be red, and sometimes they can cause some itching in your foot, and that's how you know it's athlete's foot. Home remedies, vinegar soaks, like half vinegar, half water, that'll help kill the fungus. You can try over-the-counter creams, but if that doesn't resolve on its own, then you probably need a stronger prescription that you can get either from me or from a primary doctor.
Why are fungal infections so dang stubborn to get rid of? Like, what is it that they just kind of, it seems that when you get something cooking on your foot, it just kind of takes hold and never goes away. Like, I have certain, I'm not, maybe not fungal infections, but I have certain things on my feet that just, they don't go away, like calluses that develop and scars from things, and they just stick there forever.
Well, calluses and fungus is two different things.
Totally different stuff.
Calluses is from pressure from the shape of your foot related to the shoe. But fungus, the reason why it's so stubborn is because they breed in the moisture. So if your feet are sweaty, you're wearing shoes without socks.
And you're walking around all day.
You live in Florida, and it's hot as all hell down here. And you're walking outside. It hangs out. Your feet are moist, and it hangs out there, and it continues to grow. And you have to kill it. It's not going to go away unless you kill the fungus. You got to kill it.
Be nice, doctor. We don't want to kill things on the show here. Come on.
No.
Okay, so warts, another fun one. I think people have heard of plantar warts, and those can be really painful. Talk a little bit about plantar warts. What are they? What causes them? And why can they be so tricky to treat?
So it's a virus of the skin.
Okay. Virus of the skin.
Remember I said we have bacteria, fungus, and virus. So just like COVID was a virus, it's a respiratory virus. So you can have a virus of the skin. So viruses act differently. They live off the host cells. So if you don't get rid of the warts or do things to burn the warts, I'll talk about that in a second. So what's going to happen is that virus, it's called Verruca plantaris. That's like Verruca. That's like the proper name for it. And when you have that in your foot, or really anywhere in your body, people get them in their hands. I've seen them in people's legs, and they're very painful in the foot. And I'll tell you in a second why. But what happens is the viruses live off the host cells. And then if you don't do anything to get rid of the virus, then it's going to continue living and thriving on your skin and lives there.
Eating away.
It doesn't eat away at anything. No. So the reason why the ones on the bottom of your foot are very, very painful is because it lives on your skin. And then as you walk, you develop a callus over the wart. And that makes the callus more and more painful. And you're walking on the virus, and you're walking on the wart, and you're walking on it, develops the callus. And that's why they become so painful. Where do you get them? It's a virus. It was contagious. You know, a lot of kids get them because they walk barefoot in public pools, public showers, public pools. Anytime you walk barefoot anywhere, you can contract you could get a skin virus.
So effective methods of treatment, you alluded to this earlier. You talked about burning off warts. When is it appropriate to do that? Is that something that sounds like it could be pretty aggressive and maybe not the best way to get started? Like if you have one developing, maybe there's some other treatments you'd go to first before you consider burning off. What are your thoughts on that?
So me and either a podiatrist or a dermatologist can do this, but basically to get the virus to die. I know you don't like the word killing and death, but
I'm joking. You're good.
to get to kill off the wart, you have to kill the virus. A couple of very simple ways to do that is to use over-the-counter acids. Me or the dermatologist can freeze it, like the freeze cans to freeze burn. That's another way to kill it, to make it die.
I think I've used that before. It seems familiar. Right. Like an over-the-counter. Is that over-the-counter or prescription?
So there are like over-the-counter acids, like salicylic acid is very common for people to buy. You get the wart patches, which have acid on them that help kill the wart and burn it. But in office, I go a little bit more aggressive.
And you spray something on there.
You could freeze burn it. You could burn it with a chemical. There's also like other things that makes the wart blister off. Very strong, painful chemicals that do that. Chemical burns, things like that. Those help kill the wart or destroy it. It's chemical. It's a type of destruction. So we want to destroy, like the freeze burning or cryogenic freezing, cauterization. They all kind of cauterize the wart. Now, the reason why I recommend seeing a podiatrist for the warts of your feet, mostly because the callus that you develop over the wart is so thick that it doesn't matter what kind of cautery you use. You really need to trim the callus down really deep enough so that you can expose the wart to the medicine or to the cautery, if that makes sense.
Really get in there good. And
yeah, because the callus blocks it's going to be a barrier. So I find if you have one on your hand, go to the dermatologist, burn it, whatever. But if you have one on the foot, chances are you have a nice thick callus over it, and that's preventing the medicine from penetrating. If over-the-counter stuff has not worked.
Let's talk about prevention. I find myself more and more going back to this idea of preventative care and prevention. I think the older I get, the wiser I get, and the more I'm talking about taking care of yourself. So a lot of the preventative measures that people could take in most things in life are usually pretty obvious, but so